huge gusts of winds coming on during various times. I think there's a WWE event here today too. And what's going on today? How about this one, where apparently in China they are changing their rules in terms of being able to fly drones, which is kind of interesting because a lot of people say it's Chinese-made drones that dominate a lot of the parts of the world. So what are they doing here? Will it give them more advantages or is it restricting people? This one says, China announces new drone regulations as VC remains unsteady. China has announced new drone regulations that can make it easier for businesses to use them in unregulated airspace. The CAAC announced new classifications of airspace. Class G refers to airspace with an average sea level of 6,000 meters, and Class W, which is an airspace below the altitude of 300 meters and away from airports. Both airspaces are now considered unregulated airspace, which now, according to a statement made by the CAAC, are not provided air traffic control. The move makes these spaces easier to fly drones and other small UAV. According to research analyst company Global Data, the drone market is steadily moving beyond its defense origins and is seeping into solutions for construction, agriculture, and mining. Drones have also begun to be sold as consumer devices. It's kind of an interesting thing to say. Just begun. I think it's been happening for a while, huh? And they do talk about how, I guess, with this, commercial drone operations are probably going to be more profitable as well for companies and all that. But with that in mind, is there another side to this? Because this article here says, drone users in China beware. New regulations are now in effect. Fans of aerial photography, take note this year, has seen rules regarding drone flying in China enter force. It's a move reflecting the sheer number of drones out there, as well as a tendency for increasingly daring and dangerous drone maneuvers. On the 1st of January 2024, the interim regulations on the management of unmanned aircraft flights entered effect in China. We'll just call them the regs. Therein, article stipulates the owners of civil unmanned aircraft shall conduct real name registration, while Article 12 stipulates that public liability insurance must also be purchased. That's irrespective of the size of drone or the use to which it is put. Oh, that's kind of interesting to think about, requiring kind of what Transport Canada was proposing before here initially in the beginning. Everyone needs, for example, insurance to fly the drone regardless of what you're using. It says data shows that as of the end of August 2023, there were already more than 1.11 million registered civil unmanned aircraft. Then there is the number of unregistered drones that is almost impossible to estimate. While the registration of drones obviously holds owners responsible, it can also enable authorities to issue proactive behavioral warnings. For example, those whose drones exceed an altitude of over 120 meters shall immediately receive a reminder text message. Imagine that. It's already like a surveillance area per se, where everyone's tracked in every part of their lives, but it makes you think too, because a lot of these things are being proposed elsewhere in the world, like in North America here, and people are like, oh, whatever, it's a couple of bucks and so forth. But this is kind of, I think, the bigger picture. Can you imagine a time like this where a kid's flying a drone that can be tracked in every single way? It doesn't matter if it's a toy and so forth. And as they say here, what else can happen to those who violate the new regs? Article 47 states that anyone who conducts flight activities without real name registration shall be ordered to make corrections by public security organ and may be fined not more than 200 wons. Can you imagine that? It's such a surveillance state again, but people are okay with it when they introduce stuff like that here with the justification of safety and stuff like that. Do you think this is overboard, or do you think it's necessary because it's growing too fast, as they say? To me, it's always kind of crazy to think about how a lot of people are just, okay, whatever, it's a couple of bucks, register this and that, remote ID, little kids flying toys. Because a lot of people here, for example, they always criticize places like China, saying, oh, that place is such a communist country, we love it here. It's so, for example, quote, I don't know, democratic, we have choices and all that. But at the same time, what is the difference between what they are doing and what's being proposed here in many ways? I don't see the difference. Can you? In that sense, the only argument is, oh, it'll never happen here, but you can't say that, huh? Will it be too late? Is this the way it's going to be in the future? And do you think that's a good way to do it? And then I was reading this, which was kind of interesting. And a lot of parts of the world, when it comes to things like police officers, they usually have things like body cameras. That's to, for example, keep the police officers accountable, and at the same time it'll show exactly what happened if someone tries to accuse them of doing something wrong per se. But here, actually in Vancouver, it hasn't been a thing until I guess now, where they're actually testing it, but some people are saying it won't make a difference. It says, expert doubts body-worn cameras will increase Vancouver police accountability. On Thursday, the Vancouver Police Department launched a pilot project to equip 85 officers in the downtown core and east side with body-worn cameras for 6 months. At a news conference, Deputy Chief Howard Chow said his department has been advocating for body-worn cameras for years, and that authorities hope the program will both enhance public trust in law enforcement and protect officers from false and vexatious complaints. Chow said the department consulted with numerous stakeholders, including 2 police watchdogs, indigenous groups, LGBTQ2S+ groups, and the province's privacy commissioner when deciding how to implement the devices. Authorities ultimately chose to keep the cameras dormant until an officer activates them. Saying, "We appreciate that some people in our community may feel uneasy about being recorded," Chow said. "We've reached a balance that protects people's rights and their privacy." That makes me wonder actually, because when it comes to this stuff with body cameras on police officers, are they supposed to turn it on immediately when some kind of incident, doesn't matter what it is, occurs? Or are they supposed to only turn it on if they think it's like a deadly situation or so? Because I remember some examples of viral videos of a police officer that shot someone, for example, and it seemed like he completely forgot that the camera was filming, and then he was phoning in, I guess, to a report saying, oh, the guy, you know, he fired at me and so forth, but that wasn't the case because of the video. And I guess that's the controversial thing here. Should it be up to the police officer just to turn it on whenever they feel like it, because they say a lot of people are concerned about being recorded in the public, or should you have to turn it on whenever you're going to investigate an incident? I think that would be more appropriate, isn't it? They do state here further too, under the Vancouver Police Department's guidelines for the pilot project, officers shall activate their cameras whenever they have reasonable belief they will be using force, or whenever a suspect is expected to be violent or aggressive. But there are currently no repercussions for officers who fail to do so. Determining how to handle those situations is one of the aims of the pilot project, Chow said. It's going to be a learning process, he added. Again, I don't know if that's the appropriate way to do it. You should be, quote, turning it on again if you're even approaching a situation that's kind of, I guess, suspicious or something like that, because this is just more prone to abuse, isn't it? That's one of those things that should just go both ways in terms of recording people in the public. And let's just say there's a police incident, a regular person should be able to film them handling the situation and all that, and vice versa. The police should have every right to film the whole situation as well to show what happened. If everyone has nothing to hide and so forth, I don't see the negative in that sense, again, in a public place. But what would you think overall? Good or bad in terms of, I guess, introducing body cams for police officers, and do you think it'll make a difference?
Welcome to Rogers Arena. Please have your mobile tickets ready to be scanned for easy access into the arena.
All right, see you guys later.